on NBCSN. Everyone equal once again. The points reset. Everyone starts at 4,000. So Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Joey Logano, all with equal opportunity to advance into the championship four. Marty.
Carl Edwards back in the garage, third run for that 19 team. They found a little more speed. They did change left front camber the last time in. They put a left front wheel spacer in, so they're kind of gaining on it. Certainly not where they want to be in qualifying trim. 19th fastest right now for that 19 car. And you know, one interesting thing is, it's a beautiful weekend here in Martinsville. Chamber of Commerce weather all weekend long. But Jeff, it's going to be 82 degrees and sunny on Sunday. You know how this track gets. It gets hot, slick. That's going to make for an interesting race, isn't it, on Sunday afternoon with all these chasers battling it out?
It's going to be a very interesting race. You know, typically we don't see temperatures like that at this racetrack. I think 2006 was the last time we had temperatures that warm. And, you know, a hot race here, Steve, is for the driver and the car is very difficult. This track, because it's surrounded by grandstands, it gets no breeze, everything gets hot, the brakes, the transmission, the rear end. So inside the race car is going to be exceptionally hot. But the other thing is, it lays rubber down when it gets hot. When it does get hot, you see the rubber just stick to the racetrack, and that actually can change where the race cars run on the racetrack. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens again.
Well, to your point, the spring race here is very early in the spring. The fall race is very early or very late in the fall. So rarely do we see temperatures that high. So the notebook, you can about throw the notebook out. We mentioned how tough it is to practice here, long runs, and you know, if you're going to be good here in the race, you need to start with a car you plan on adjusting. And I would say on Sunday, it's only going to change even more.
You see the forecast?
The hottest I've ever been in my life was in a race car in Martinsville.
Really?
Yeah, yes. Ricky Rudd won the race, and in Victory Lane had to go down for a little while, just lay down for a little bit. The showers, there used to be an old building, and the infield's still there, but it's now used for something else. Literally, drivers are coming in there after the race, full uniform, and just standing in the shower. I mean, when it's hot here, it is unbelievably uncomfortable inside the race cars.
Surprisingly, A.J. Allmendinger has had great success at Martinsville. And is that because of the way you have to use the brakes at a short track like this? And he's so good on road courses where you've got to be very good with the brakes?
Well, I do think that the 47 has a lot of comfort in heavy braking. What that can allow you to do is, even if your car isn't as good as you want it to be through the corner, you can kind of protect. So even if you don't make the best lap times you see here, racing is about not just lap time, but overtaking. And the 47 A.J. Allmendinger can be aggressive on the brakes and try to avoid that wheel hop. We just saw that Brian Scott has. A.J. knows how to avoid that. So even if you're faster than him, Jeff, very hard to get around.
Yeah, and you can make speed. Like when you're, it's hard to pass somebody by outbraking them, but it also helps you, as you just mentioned, it helps you prevent them from passing you. But if you can outbrake somebody in the corner, there's a little bit of speed to be had here. And the brakes work so well today that you don't have to protect the brakes. The brakes typically aren't going to wear out or fade. It's the question of whether or not the bead of the tire can handle the heat. But A.J. Allmendinger is a very good road course racer. He has that tempo about him, corner entry speed, roll the middle, leave good, short corners, and that's what this racetrack's all about.
Dave.
3 race trim runs this morning for Joey Logano, shows him on the board 28th quick. Now they have gotten the car into qualifying trim, cooled it down, driver back in, ready to take his first laps in that. And Steve, when they go to qualifying trim here, what are the basic 3 or 4 things that they've changed on the car?
Well, you know, Dave, that's something interesting here at the short track versus some of the bigger tracks. The bigger tracks, when you add grill tape, it changes the balance because the aerodynamics changes so much. But here, Martinsville, it really doesn't have as much to do with the grill tape as much as pumping the fuel out. You don't have to run full of fuel anymore. You can reduce the amount of fuel in the back of the car. That changes the weight balance. You can also adjust what physical brakes you put on the car. You can put lighter weight discs or grippier pads because you know you have to get up to temperature and make it happen in 2 or 3 laps. So it's really more mechanical changes than it is aerodynamic like it would be in a big track.
Take a look at Brad Keselowski as we were talking about brakes just a moment ago. You see the left sides locking up.
And that left front, that's really the easiest tire to lock up. As you turn down in the corner, that left front gets really light, Dave, and it's easy to lock up.
And Steve, I just talked to Paul Wolf, who told trim all practice long here, so you'd expect him to be further up the board. So I said, is there an issue? And he said, it is braking. Getting into the corner, Brad's having all kinds of difficulty, and it just showed itself right there. Still not fixed, obviously.
Yeah, so you can do some things with the setup to make the left front not slide. The left front slides because it's light. So you can do some things with the setup to get some weight on the left front as it enters the corner. But also, Brad Keselowski, like we talked about, can slide the rear brake to it with the brake bias adjuster. But if you get too much rear brake in it, you saw what happened with Brian Scott earlier in practice. So that's always a decision a driver has to make, how much rear brake versus front brake in this car take.
Well, I've noticed this with 20 minutes left in practice. Look how spread out the chases are. A handful in the top 10. Carl Edwards all the way down to 20.